Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This is the 80th part of What If Deku Was a Magical Girl Mascot. Quirk, Magical Girl Mascot. The author of this great fanfic is Emma Ibley. Links to them and original story in the description. Chapter 80, Double the Need for Speed. The evening of the day Izuku made the offer was also time that Tenya was waiting for the call to form his brother. The one they were waiting for. I finally got the last one to back down, said Tensei on the phone with Tenya. That's good news, said Tenya. I've already called Nizu and I set up for a day where I come to visit, said Tensei. I've been waiting for this for months, said Tenya. Tensei laughed at Tenya's excitement. I know, said Tensei. It turned out that he would be visiting on the upcoming Sunday. Still, Tenya was super excited for the Sunday. Though in the lead up to Sunday Katsuki realized something and brought it up to the others. Okay. He will eventually do the math, but we have to make sure he doesn't realize that he will now have 12 partners. Which means he will have 24 hours in human form, said Tsuyu. On a good day, said Katsuki, but knowing him he'll try to see how long he has after a night of no sleeping. Everyone else agreed to this, but knew Izuku would eventually find out about it. And so it was the upcoming Sunday. It was a big ideal for everyone, plus most of them hadn't met Tensei yet. He brought to a training area so that they meet somewhat privately. It's nice to finally meet you, said Izuku. Likewise, Tenya has told me a lot about you, said Tensei. Izuku blushed at this. You're Tenya's big brother? Asked Eri shyly from behind Inko. I am, said Tensei, and you're Eri, right? Of course he was told about Eri. He wasn't given all of the details but knew it was an accidental bonding and she was held captive the Yakuza. Eri nodded. Of course he was also introduced to the other partners. Though when it go to All Might there was a short and amusing conversation. Haven't you been doing a lot of hero work on Sundays lately? Asked Tensei. There's a lot I have to explain, said Toshinori, though I can probably pull an all-nighter so it will be fine, said Toshinori. Toshinori, you have school tomorrow, scolded Inko. There's a couple things we have to tell about before I bond with you, said Izuku. What? Asked Tensei. The first thing they told him was about Eri's quirk. He was surprised. Remember the reason why I initially declined, said Tensei. It's the same reason. If Eri's quirk gets out, even if I can teleport her in, will only put her in further danger, said Izuku. Exactly. Word has already spread that I'm planning to be a magical girl to heal my injuries / If I get my injury healed without one, said Tensei, it would be suspicious, said Izuku. I figured that was the answer. You only offered so that I could decline, said Tensei. Yeah, said Izuku, it's better to tell you than leave it out. Tensei nodded. There's the other thing we need to tell you, said Inko. What is it? Asked Tensei. They told him about the whole not aging thing. He was shocked by. You haven't aged since you bonded? Asked Tensei. And you won't age once you bond, said Inko. Tensei realized they bonded when Inko was around his age. This is a secret for now, said Tenya, but it's something we won't be able to keep forever. Then again, All Might is around 25, so I should be surprised, said TCI. Yeah, said Toshinori. This isn't like with Eri, it's going to come out one day, said Tensei. Izuku nodded, knowing he was saying it was fine and he was still up to it. And with that it was time to bond. Izuku turned to his mascot form. And of course created the light from his gem. So I touch it? Asked Tensei. Izuku nodded and Tensei touched it. There was bright flash of navy blue light when it cleared. Tensei was in her magical girl costume. Much was it were similar to Tenya's though with differences. For one, while she had an armored top, she completely lacked any sleeves, which made sense due to quirk placement, as they were in her elbows as opposed to legs. Also, she had a pair of gauntlets that went up to her head that had the tailpipe that her old costume had. Instead of the skirt being silver, it was a light blue color, and instead of an armored headband, she had two wing-shaped hair pins right above each ear with a navy blue gem on the let one. Also in her hair were silver streaks. She then stood up from the wheelchair. "I can walk," she said, then started to cry in joy. "I can walk again." Tenya happily ran over and the siblings hugged and cried in joy at this. Everyone let the two siblings celebrate the healing. After all, it was a big deal. Once they were done hugging and crying, Tensei was looking as his magical costume. "This is so weird still," said Tensei, even the voice. "You get used to it," said Tenya. That was when Tenya remembered something. "Also, while as a magical girl, don't use reciprocal burst," said Tenya. "What? Why?" asked Tensei. "Well," said Tenya, "maybe I should show you, so that would be a better explanation." "Don't worry, I'll help," said Ochako. Tenya nodded and two of them transformed. Tenya got ready for the move. "Recipro burst," called out Tenya. Tensei watched as her sister gained so much speed she took off like an airplane. "What?" yelled Tensei. "Yeah, you gain that much speed that you take off," said Izuku. Tensei could only gape at the sight. Then it was clear that Tenya was starting to fall. Thankfully, Ochako caught her with her wand and made sure to slow down her descent. I think you can understand why you shouldn't do that," said Tenya once she was on the ground. "Yeah, unless I have a plan," said Tensei. Everyone's SWAT dropped as Tensei seemed to be planning something. He noticed everyone's faces. "Don't worry, if I turn this into a new move, I'll make sure I have the help of my sidekicks," said Tensei. "Please practice a lot first," said Tenya. "Don't worry, I will," said Tensei. "Oh, there's also a bit I have to tell you," said Toshinori. "What about?" asked Tensei. "Maybe it's better to have my telepathy help you explain," said Izuku. "Is because of the secret Uncle Might holds?" asked Eri. "It is, and when you're old enough we'll trust you," said Inko. Eri nodded, knowing that it was telling Tensei that was a big secret that she was too young to keep. Izuku opened up telepathy to Toshinori, Tenya, Tensei, and the vestiges. "All right. What I have to tell you," thought Toshinori. "Wait, our voices are still men," thought Tensei. "It makes sense," explained Izuku. "Unlike with Kakin, you're still mentally men. My quirk just makes it so that you don't suffer from dysphonia. So when we have telepathic conversation, we will still hear each other in our original voices," explained Tenya. "So what do you have to tell me?" asked Tensei. And with that, Tensei was introduced on the secret of One for All. Though there was one part they didn't hide from Eri, the vestiges. All she was told that it was tied to the secret that they were keeping, and no one outside of the bond should know about them. Plus it helped that when she met them in person, Daigoro had let the little girl play with him. So Toshinori transformed and let Tensei meet the three he could manifest. "We could have just told him," said Yoichi. "You had teleplay on." "It's fine," said Toshinori. Wait, as a magical girl, you can manifest little mascot that give you extra costumes," said Tensei. "Aren't you afraid at what will happen if your marketing team finds out you're hiding a gold mine from them?" "Oh, yeah," laughed Toshinori. "I've been pretty much in denial about that and pretending like nothing bad will happen involving them." There was an awkward silence among everyone as not even the vestiges knew about that. "What does that mean?" asked Eri Daigoro, who was laying on her head. "Just some stuff, grown hero stuff," said Daigoro. "Okay," said Eri. "Just a quick question, what's worse, mad scientists or marketing teams?" asked Katsuki. I'm afraid you don't want that answer, said Tensei. That just made all of the hero students sweat at that. I'd like to point out not all support technicians so, said Melissa. Good point, sighed Katsuki. Tensei knew that it was a good time to test out her new magical girl powers, and everything pretty much matched Tenya's. Though the wand was slightly different, with the handle of course being navy and the emblem being a bit different but similar. They offered Tensei to join for dinner, as after all every Sunday Inko cooked for the class. On the way to the dorms, Tensei realized something. Wait, she said, isn't your human form tied to how many partners you have? Doesn't that mean you have 24 hours to work with now? Wait, you're right, said Izuku. God damn it, yelled Katsuki. Izuku, please don't experiment, cried Inko. Fine, sighed Izuku. Though it's clear that the ones who loved in the dorm had to keep their own eye on him. Tensei was introduced to the rest of the class, happy to see what the magical girl hero had joined the bond. Though there was a humorous conversation about why it took too long to say no. Do you know how hard it was to say no to some of those inventions? The reason why they refused to back down was that they heard a small lack of hesitation. And because of that they assumed I would want it, said Tensei. What did you say no to? Asked Kaminari. Super high-tech wheelchairs, including transforming mecha or flying, said Tensei. Several students at the table all realized that he had a point. I'm not even injured and I'd have a hard time saying no to a transforming mecha wheelchair, said Siro, with several students including some of the magical girls nodding in agreement. Still, Tensei had to leave eventually. Of course Tenya walked her out and they would do it privately. I want you to take back the name Ingenium, said Tenya. Wait, are you sure? Asked Tensei. It's yours. I was just holding it until you could take it back, said Tenya. You do have a point, said Tensei. You should figure out your own name. Tenya nodded in agreement. The two walked as they headed to the gate. And of course the next day the news broke out about Ingenium being back as a magical girl. With Tensei's first interview explaining one of the reasons why it took so long to hide the healing aspect of Izuku's quirk, which was now out in the open. If his quirk gave All Might his organs back on live TV, then fixing my injuries would be no problem, said Tensei as she was interviewed by a ton of press members. What about after All Might's transformation? Said a member of the press. Personal reasons that won't say, said Tensei. Does it have to do with that rant video that came out where a support technician complains that you became a magical girl when your aesthetic fits a mecha pilot more? Asked another member of the press. What? Asked Tensei. That member of the press put it up where it turned out it was a rant video from the support technician that refused their nose. She of course face-palmed as she watched the video. But still Tensei was now a magical girl. And can once again walk. Which was something that was a long time coming. That will be it for this part. I hope everyone enjoyed. If you want to hear more from me, subscribe. I hope to see you all in the next one.